Here we go. This is a beautiful way to start the day. This is a sausage, egg, cheese casserole. It also has some chilies up in this little guy, and it's topped with some beautiful green onions that have been thin sliced and a bit of avocado. This is a wonderful brunch. This is a good breakfast also. A great way to start the day. Try this casserole out. You're going to get a heck of a surprise. Look at that thing. Oh man, that's just scrumptious. Hello. Welcome back to Texas Cooking Today. On this episode of Texas Cooking Today, we're going to make a yummy breakfast casserole. This is a wonderful, easy-to-do dish that can be made the day in advance. If you have a special occasion or a holiday and you don't want to have to cook on it, you can fix this dish up and it makes a perfect breakfast or brunch item. Very simple to make. Come a little closer. Let me show you what we're going to use to make this extremely tasty dish. First off, let's start with our meat. Over here I have 1 pound of sausage. Now you have a couple of choices. You can either just take the casing off of whatever your favorite sausage is, or you can buy the kind of sausage that doesn't have a casing, that just comes in a chub. And that's what I've done here. This is 1 pound of sausage, and you can get that as a spicy sausage or the hot or the mild, whichever suits your fancy. Just go for whatever you like. Other items that we're going to put in this very simple casserole. On the bottom it's going to have a bread base, and that's what I have here, some loaves that I made a few days ago. These would be really good. This is a cheese bread. You can just use plain white bread if you'd like, but be creative with it if you get a chance. Back here we have our eggs, 6 eggs, 2 cups of milk. I have 8 ounces of grated cheddar cheese. On the bread, you'll either need 6 slices of regular white bread or wheat bread, or just, approximate that same amount in something else. I have a couple of items here for toppings, some avocado and some green onion. These will not be baked in, but they will actually be put on afterwards. I have some poblanos. Chilies in this dish really radiate. They just bring out a wonderful flavor. So if you can, get some of these wonderful tasting chilies, and you're going to make this dish taste that much better. As far as spices, we keep it simple on this one. Some ground dry mustard. We're going to use a teaspoon of this and a teaspoon of salt, and that'll be beat into our custard that we make with the eggs and milk. Alright, let's get on with this dish. The first thing we're going to have to do, or things, will be browning that sausage right over here. And on these poblanos, we got to cook the skin off of them and give them a quick wash before we dice them up so that we can assemble this tasty little casserole. And don't forget to have something to enjoy while you do your cooking. Cooking should be fun and relaxing. First thing I want to do is to take this sausage and transfer it to a skillet. There we go. Now I can take that and cook it up, and I want it crumbled, sort of like ground beef would be. We've now placed our meat over some heat, and you're going to want about a medium to medium-high heat to start this on. Now while that is coming up in temperature, and it's going to cook off nicely and brown for us, over here I need to turn 2 burners on. There we go. And I'm going to take those pretty little chilies that we have and put them right down over the heat. I'm just going to cook these off one at a time. What this will do is blister the skin and scorch it slightly, and that way it washes off very easily. You can do this same technique on pretty much any kind of chili. You can also do this by putting these on a gas charcoal grill. You can use, of course, a regular charcoal grill to do this on also. But of course, you're going to have to take time to get the fire up and running. Under a broiler works, but sometimes it doesn't scorch it off that well, so put them in a plastic bag and let them sweat for a bit after you put them under the broiler. And that way the rest of the skin will come loose easy. Also, you can use a torch. And the torch is very quick and thorough about this. I like the fact that this partially cooks the meat underneath, and that way it softens it. It makes it a little easier to handle. So I'm not just doing it on a direct stove flame. My sausage is starting to come up to a light sizzle. as I go, I'm just going to keep breaking the sausage apart, smaller and smaller pieces as it cooks. I need something that's small and easy to crumble over the top of a casserole dish. Now, speaking of dish, what kind of dish do we cook this in? Anything that has about at least a 2-inch lip on the edge will work. You could use round cake pans, you can use square cake pans. A 13 by 9 pan works perfect for this. It sizes out just right in it. So let's look over here just a little bit. I have here a small ramekin. You could do a bunch of small ones like this. That would be really neat. Today we're going to do it in a 13 by 9 like this. And so this works really well. It does not have to be glass, it can be a metal pan. Just as long as it has a nice little 2-inch side on it or higher. You could use multiple cake pans, like 2 small round cake pans, 2 square. Be creative with it. I do love cooking these chilies off. You get such a wonderful flavor, beautiful odor in the air. What these do for a dish like this is unbelievable. The flavor that is imparted is explosive. Tips just a little bit more. I mentioned before, we're going to break that apart as we cook it. These are done well enough now. Pull them off of our heat, give them a wash, and they can then be diced. So now it's just a matter of finishing up this sausage. And I'm going to switch spatulas in just a moment because I don't like to handle cooked food with instruments that have been handling raw food. We are. We'll just keep on cooking that sausage. So as you see, we're not in any rush in cooking this sausage. The more fat that I can render out of it, the better. And this happens to be a pretty lean sausage, so I don't have to worry about that too much. switch my turner to a different one. Go. Now we have it crumbled well. This should do well in our casserole. I'll let that finish cooking. Should take it just a couple more minutes, probably about another 5 to 8 minutes. Let's take another look at our sausage here. I believe it has just now come to the point where it has no more pink in it. It isn't actually turning brown or anything like that. And if you notice in the bottom of the pan, it's not like I have a lot of fat that's running to one side. If I did, I would spoon it out of there. So it looks like I have a good product here for my casserole. I'm going to turn the heat off and just let it set. It needs to set and cool so I can handle it in a little bit. Now let's move on to cleaning up those poblanos. Now it's time that we get that skin cleaned up off of that poblano. And what I'm going to do here is using cold water, I'm going to give these this simple wash to wash the skin off of them. Notice how easily that comes off. Just give it a light rub. We have it. One cleaned up poblano right there. Now, let me show you a trick. When you want to open one of these up, you can push your finger right into the side, just like this, and pull down. And it opens that thing right up. Underneath there, there's a seed pod. If you were going to use this for a relleno, you would simply just pinch that seed pod and bam, you've taken care of it. But in this case, we're just going to go ahead and remove the entire crown, like so. Decrowned it. I'm going to wash the seeds out, and now it's ready to be sliced. That's all there is to that. Very, very simple. Do each one of these exactly the same way. The only way I've ever been able to tell a warm poblano from one that is not so hot is the color of the seeds. Sometimes when I see these dark seeds, that means that sucker's just a little bit hotter. I've got one warm poblano here. Even still, they're only about half of the heat of a jalapeno when they're at their hottest. If you are not able to get every bit of the skin off, that's not a problem. Don't worry about it. It's not going to affect the dish in a negative way at all. Now, on to slicing these little gems. Okay, let's get busy slicing up these wonderful chilies. All I want to have is just some nice small dice. So I'm going to start by halving that way it'll lay a little more flat. And I want to cut these into long, thin strips. Now remember, when cutting, keep the fingers curved under, with part of the knuckle straight up and down for the knife to glide on, and the thumb tucked behind the fingers like this. It's like a little crab, okay? Go. And of course, our cross cuts. There we go. nice dice, and these are about a 1/2 inch square roughly. Now, could you use cans of green chilies? Yeah, I guess you could, but it's not going to have that wonderful fresh flavor that these do. You'll notice that even though we had cooked them partially, they are still quite firm. It's one of the magical things about chilies. They do stay really firm under heat. It takes a long time to soften them up. So if you want a vegetable that's really strong and sturdy to hold up well, this is it. Well, we had them on direct flame, which would ruin a lot of vegetables. There we have it. 3 poblanos diced up, ready to go into our wonderful casserole. Now it is time for us to go ahead and cut up our bread into cubes to work on this dish. If you will have noticed, I have now on my 3rd color of cutting board. We're about to cut bread, and bread, all bakery and dairy goes on the whiteboard. Okay, don't forget this color-coded system. The red meats, such as pork, beef, lamb, veal, venison, whatever is good red meat, goes on that red board. All poultry on the yellow, all seafood on the blue, and all cooked meats on the brown. Okay? Now, that is to prevent cross-contamination in your kitchen. It's going to help keep you safe. Cutting board safety is every bit as important as knife safety. Now, I'm going to cut nice little 1/2 inch wide strips on this bread. That last one, since it's headed downhill, you notice I turn it around. That way, if the knife slips, it slips away from me. Okay, now that I've done that, I want to take my knife and angle it a little bit. I get nice uniform slices, doing that 1/2 inch wide slice thing again. And what I'm going to do, as I slice these up, push this one to the side first, I'm going to do one more, and I'm going to line the bottom of my casserole dish with this cubed bread. And this adds both a lot of flavor as well as a very unique texture to the custard. It's giving me a little trouble there. Keep on, I can see. So. And that gives me a lot of surface area of interior bread to each piece of the outer crust. The outer crust adds a huge amount of flavor to it. So a good brown to bread like that is wonderful in this dish. Now, I don't have to put these in a bowl. I can just put them straight into the dish that I'm using. And I'm thinking that those first 2 are going to be more than enough. Yeah. So, it appears that I have one of my loaves left. I have to figure out another dish to work that one into. After they get old and a little bit stale, they're not as good for fresh eating, but they're still good for cooking. Alright, now on to our next item, which is mixing up our batter. Okay, let's get on with our batter. Did I call it earlier? That's incorrect. This is custard, alright? We're going to get on with our custard. Now I need 6 eggs. Let's crack those each into a separate bowl. And then check them. Oops, I got a little bit of shell right there. That's a good reason to do it this way. That way you don't have to go fishing out shells. Now, give it a bit of a sniff. It smells good. It can go into our product. This is just a good way to make sure that you don't trash a whole bunch of ingredients all at once. Looks good, smells good, move on. Clear, good smell. This one's a little more hazy, but the smell, not bad. Clear, good smell, goes in. All right. That egg off my hand. Now I'm going to want to beat these. So take your whisk. If you don't have a whisk, you could use a fork or any other means of beating that you have. From side to side, don't go in a circle. Now work in the milk. Now we need to season this also, and I'm going to want about a teaspoon of salt. Right there's getting close, there we go. And I'm going to want about a teaspoon of this mustard, dry ground mustard. Mustard works really well in egg and in cheese dishes, and since this has both, it's a wonderful complement. There we go. Our batter, our custard is now ready for our casserole. There we go. Sorry, I was busy in the background. Let's move right on. Well, I believe it is time for us to go ahead and line out this dish with all of our ingredients. Now, we've already got our bread in here, so the next thing I want to put in there is going to be the sausage. It's had time to cool now, as we did the other things. I'll take this and just gently sprinkle it down inside of this dish, getting that coating as even as possible. Go, get the spread on that nice and even. Looks pretty good. There's a few light spots, but nothing bad. The next item, let's put our chilies on there. I'll tell you what, this just causes the flavor to explode in this dish. Between the sausage, chilies, and cheese, such wonderful flavor. If I haven't already mentioned it, go ahead and turn that oven of yours on to 350 degrees, let it get preheating. Go. Our cheese is next. Liberal coating. Now the really neat thing about this dish, you can make this a day in advance. Pour the custard right down into it and then cover it with foil, put it in the refrigerator, and then the next day put it out or pull it out and put it in your oven. Now the bake time on this, depending on your altitude, at 350 degrees is going to be somewhere between 35 to 45 minutes. Go. This is a full 8 ounces of cheese here. I like a nice cheesy topping on stuff like this. It's my favorite. So I never go sparingly. And now, for the finale, we just need to put our batter, I keep saying that, don't I? Put that custard over the top. Guess my brain isn't working today. You keep thinking batter, and it needs to be thinking custard. Okay, that's very simple. Now if you'll notice in the side there, the dish is filled with that beautiful custard. We have all of our ingredients ready to go. As soon as the oven's good and hot, we'll put that inside of it. Okay, we are now ready to put our casserole into this oven. That's 350 degrees, center to center top rack, and we're going to give it about 35 to 45 minutes depending on altitude. Low altitude, a little shorter time than high. I have just now pulled this casserole from the oven. As you notice from the bubbling edge, it is still quite hot. This has domed up quite a bit, and it's going to fall a little bit as it cools. So just let it cool. I do like to cook mine until I get just a little bit of brown spotting on top of the cheese, as well as good brown corners. And I must admit, those corners are my favorite part. So anyway, we're going to dish this up in just a little bit, but we need to fix a little bit of garnish and other items to go on the dish with it to make it just that much better. So let's turn around to our cutting board and get on with it. Okay, now let's get on with cutting up our garnish and the side vegetable. I want to start with this, your avocado. Now if you have a stem on that, just take that and you can pull it sideways and they usually come right off. There we go. Looks light colored inside. That's usually a good sign. Now I'm just going to cut this in half with my knife. There's a large pit in the middle, so push your knife into it, rotate it down slightly, come over the top and around, and just twist. There we go. To remove the pit from the other side, gently drive your knife right into it, give it a bit of a twist, and there you have it. Comes right out. Now, usually, I will show you how to slice this inside and then use a spoon to pull it out. And what I wanted to do on this one was to show you a little bit different technique. What I want to do first is to peel off, or cut off rather, that area where the stem was. And I want to peel back the skin. You can use a knife or your fingers. You'll notice this. So I just pull that back. This works just fine. And this makes for a good safe way to slice this also, which is what I'm going to do. There we go. Get rid of that skin. And if you notice, there's nothing left on that skin. We've cleaned it perfectly. Everything that's edible right there. Now back to the large knife. I'm just going to make some simple slices. Just like this. I'm making these fairly thick. These are about 1/4 inch thick. But now I have a lovely avocado that I can take and gently fan over the food. Okay? Now, the next item that I'm going to be using will be these onions. And I just need to remove that root end first. So get rid of that. There we go. And gently I'm going to make some slices. And if you notice, the nose of my knife stays in contact with the board, with my fingers curved under, my thumb behind the fingers, and I just come back and make a forward and backward motion as I push down. Very simple slicing technique. Now I do want some of the green part of this onion in addition to the white that I've been cutting, because it adds color to that dish and it's going to be really nice. There we go. That, put it all together. I wish I could transfer this to a bowl to serve out of, which makes it quite handy. Get one of those. a little easier to handle now. Now, all I have to do is cut up my casserole and assemble my plate. Okay, let's go ahead and get busy slicing this up. Take a nice sharp knife. There we go. If you notice the motion that I use, I come up and then down and forward. And this helps to give a nice even line where the material isn't pulled up as much like it is here. It's just a nice way to cut a dish like this. On my knife. There we have it. Now, as I mentioned before, I have an affinity for that corner piece. I think it is just tasty as can be. I'm going to pull that out first. I missed part of that edge. Go. We'll get this little guy all garnished up. Since I'm making 2 of these, next one here. Just like so. Here we have a beautiful casserole dish. Now, what I'm going to be doing is to jazz this up just a little bit. Split this out just a bit more. So, bring it up. Place it right up like so. Beautiful. A little bit of the onion over the top. And there we have it. We're ready to go with a beautiful breakfast casserole. Well, that wasn't very hard, was it? Very simple, very easy to do. Loaded with flavor. It's a good use of some older ingredients as well as fresh. And you get this beautiful beautiful product right here. I get to try it. You get to also. You just gotta get busy baking it. Familiar old flavor. I've been baking this since I was a boy. All those fresh green onions, they just lend to it. It really sets everything off with this fresh side. And then the flavors inside that are blended and married. The firm, really firm custard because of that bread. Delicious dish. Well, I'm going to be making a bit of a pig of myself in a bit. I tell you what, thank you. Thank you very much for watching Texas Cooking Today. Please subscribe to Texas Cooking Today, and you have a good day. Thank you for watching Texas Cooking Today, the show where you can get great recipes and the best techniques are taught. Please subscribe to Texas Cooking Today, where you will always find something hot and ready to eat.